And it's not just the war. Many of you had troubled minds during the pandemic. In fact, the call for mental health drugs went very high in the US and other countries as well. People had anxiety levels. Why? Because at first, you see, people, all they could do was sit with their minds. Now, if you're on a spiritual path, that's what you're supposed to be doing anyway. That's what meditation is about. I know there are different forms of meditation, but some work directly with this, just sitting and seeing what comes into mind and then not going with it. Don't go with the story. You just notice the thought. Oh, I had a thought about my father. Okay, drop it. Years ago, I had a young man come to me. He had come and asked me if I could help him meditate. And so I'd given him some things to do, to sit on a cushion and just breathe and so on. Well, one day, he was sitting on his meditation cushion, and this thought came of him killing his father. Now, it shocked him because he had had a good relationship with his father. He never had any inclination to do anything like that at all. But it was 2 months before he really came to, this is when everyone was coming and sitting down and we could talk together. It took him 2 months to come in for another meeting. And I asked him how he was doing, and he said, well, I don't think that meditation's very healthy. I said, oh, tell me what you've learned. So he recounted this situation, which I'd already seen, of course, but where he had this idea of, the thought came to mind of killing his father. And he said, that's not me. That's not me. And if I'm going to have thoughts like that, I'm not going to meditate. And I said, well, what you didn't recognize is that was just your ego trying to get you off your meditation cushion. And it worked. You haven't been back on it for 2 months, have you? And so you see, it's seldom, things are seldom the way we think. If he could have just said, oh, it's a thought, doesn't have any innate meaning. Doesn't mean anything about me, doesn't mean anything about my relationship to my father, doesn't mean anything about my father. It was just a thought. That's the idea. You watch the thoughts arise and you just let them go. It doesn't matter if they are lofty thoughts or if they are dreadful thoughts or if they are in some other way unholy. It doesn't matter. They are just passing through as the ego tries to get your attention, because it doesn't want you to really look at it that much, you see. To really inspect the ego would mean you would have to see the part of you that doesn't always love yourself. It's the part of you that beats you up when you hear that voice criticizing. It's also the voice, by the way, that lets you off the hook. Oh, well, that wasn't too big of a deal. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that, but so what? The voice that lets you off the hook lets you, in other words, continue in your delusion. Or it is the voice that beats up on you, which is another form of delusion, isn't it?